Alright, getting started with GIMP. Alright, all I did is Google GIMP, and then I clicked on the first link, which this is what the website currently looks like at the time of making this. I'm just going to click download. Current stable version, I would recommend this right side version, unless you are familiar with BitTorrent. I mean, if you're familiar with BitTorrent, go ahead and use this version if you prefer it. Just most people are going to want to choose this one, which will download it directly. Then you'll just hit save file. I did too. And then you'll just install it. I guess I'll go through that too. So once you've downloaded it, you can go ahead and run the setup. That's the file you downloaded. I'm just going to do everything recommended. Alright, here's the install screen. Here's where you can customize it if you don't want everything. I'm just going to cancel out. I'm just going to do the recommended settings. Alright, install. Alright, go ahead and hit finish once it's done. Okay, now that you have it downloaded, it's time to launch it. GIMP looks like it's improved a lot since I last used it. It's been years. Alright, and we're in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is hit File, and then you can either open an image you have, or you can make a new blank image. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new blank image. And I'm going to do 1920 by 1080. That seems like the default size, and that's just a good size because that's a HD TV resolution. So I'm going to hit OK. And then there's your canvas for your image. I think you have to zoom out to see the canvas. The canvas is going to be like these edges here, or the frame. The canvas is like the frame around the image, and then the image is something that's inside. So watch, I can resize this image. So I'm doing this by going to Image, Transform. You'll have to excuse me, I'm used to Photoshop. Scale image. Here. So we'll cut it in half. Or we'll just do kind of half. Alright, then hit scale. And then you'll see that there's boundaries here that weren't there before. That's because our canvas is now bigger than the image. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back. Don't worry about doing this part. This will unlink. Right now it'll keep it scaled evenly. So if I scale it down one way, it'll scale evenly the other way to maintain aspect ratio. You can unbreak that though if you want to just make the width smaller but not the height by clicking right here, and that'll unlink it. So you could just drag it up or down. Scale, and then we're back. So let's cover text first. So I'm gonna click on the text tool right here, and then just drag a box, and then you can type whatever you want. And then I like to, when I'm done typing, scale this down to about the right size. So this little part here is your tool panel. You can hold your mouse over it to get info about the tools. So this one's the move tool. This lets you move stuff around. Right now I'm selected on the background layer, which you can see right here, my layers. I'm going to make this full screen. So this just lets you move it around, then I can move my text around if I select my text layer. So you can just select what one you want to move by clicking down here in your layers. I guess you have to click on the actual text. You can't click in between or it thinks you're picking up the background. And then if you want to undo anything, Control Z is your best friend. You can keep hitting it and it'll just keep undoing stuff you did until it's back to how you want it. And then Control Y, and I believe on a Mac, it's just that Mac key you have. And it's also the same buttons, so Control Z or Option Z / whatever the Mac key is will undo something, and then Option / Control Y will redo something. So if you undo something, like you go too far, like right there, I went too far with Control Z, I'm just going to put it back with Control Y. The first thing you might want to do is change the color of the canvas, so you can hit Edit, and then Fill with any of this stuff. So to change the colors right here, you just click on them, then you can change it to whatever color you want. And go darker. There we go. So right click, edit, fill with background color, that's what BG stands for. And look, you got a background. So let's add text to this background. This is your tool, these are your tools. So you can go ahead and you can look through these. Fuzzy select tools, probably gonna be like the magic wand in Photoshop. Again, you'll have to excuse me, this is my first time using the program in a long time, but I figure it's best as I learn how to do things, I can show you how to do things. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the text tool, and then just click, and then start typing. Alright, and then we have text on our background. So you can see right here your layers. These are basically what make up your image. So you usually start with a background, or your just original image will be the background, but oops. So you can stack things on top of it, and every layer you stack on top of it, that's how this knows what's on top to display. So if I put the text underneath the background's now in front, so I can't see it. But the text, if you move it back, is now on top, so you can see it. So I'll show you how to use this text tool a different way. You can also click and drag, and it'll make a text bounding box. So you can type in this one. And it will fit inside you get the idea. It'll just fill the box. So you can see that added a new layer. We could either click here and click delete, or I'm sorry, you need the move tool. So go ahead and switch back to this tool right here, the move tool. Then you can click here, then hit the delete button, and it'll delete. I guess it just deleted the text and left the layer, but whoops. Yeah, in GIMP, if you click the image behind something, you can move it. So with the move tool out, just click anywhere in the background and you'll be able to move it. Then if you screw up, you can just hit Control Z and it'll undo what you did, and you can just keep hitting it if it's a few like moves ago. And then to redo things, let's say I accidentally undo something, so or I like that change I had, you just hit Control Y and it'll redo things for you. So Control Z will undo something you just did, and then if you changed your mind or went too far, so let's say I hit Control Z a couple of times. See, I didn't want to get rid of the banana time text, just hit Control Y and it'll bring it back up. Alright, and that also got rid of that layer I didn't want, but just so you know how to delete it, you can come right over here and then just right click on the layer you don't want. See how this one says banana time on it? That's this layer. This one has the same color as the background, that's the background layer. So this is the one I don't want. I'm just going to right click on it and then hit delete layer, and then that got rid of it. So let's say you want to change this color again. Another way you can do it is this paint bucket here. This will just fill in the boundaries of an area with a certain color. So right now it's set to black, I think. Yep, foreground color, you can change it here to the background color, which is here. You can also switch your foreground and background color by clicking this thing. So I'm going to keep it with black so we can see it work. And then I'm just going to click and you'll watch it. Oops, you got to make sure you're selected on background if you want to do the background. Click on that and it'll fill it all in black. And then I didn't want that, so you can either click background color here and do it, or you could also do just flip right here, click this button, and that'll flip your foreground and background. So let's say I just want to fill in part of an area. This is a selection tool. You can click this and it'll give you, you can also long click things for more tools you can use. So like long click here, long click here, long click here. So if I wanted a circle instead of a square for a selection, you would just use this one. And then if you click away, it'll get rid of your selection. But anyway, you can make a selection here, drag it, and then let's say we want these in the middle, both banana time and the I'm going to actually fill that in. Control Z, Control Z. So that brought back up the selection that I wanted again by undoing a couple of moves. I'm going to go ahead and fill this. Or I'm going to make a new layer actually. So we're going to go to layers. Or we're going to right click down here. Click new layer. And we'll call it underline because it'll underline the banana text. And I would recommend leaving all this stuff alone for right now. You can change the size right here. Making new layers like making a new image on top of that you can stack. So I'm just gonna hit OK. And then with this one selected in my selection here, and if you mess up the selection, you can just go back to the tool and remake it. So I'm just going to right click in the middle, hit edit, and then you can fill. So I'm going to fill it with the background color. And make sure you have the underline selected, that layer. So see how that's on top of the background? If I move that underneath, you won't be able to see it. So we'll keep that on top. Now I don't really like this just black spot, so I'm gonna go ahead and change it. So again, to do that, you can change either of these two colors and make it work. We'll just click on one of the colors, and I want it a little bit more orange. Hit OK. And then edit, fill with background color, because the background color is the one in the back of these two. Alright, well you got something going so far. You can move the text on top of that too. It doesn't need to be an underline, so you just click the move tool. Then make sure you click on the text itself with some of the black, and don't click on the background. Oops, I clicked on the background. Control Z. There we go. Look, you can put your text in here. And then, let's say you want to add something to it, you can go to Tools. Make sure you have the layer you want to edit selected. Then you can go to Transform Tools, and we'll use Perspective. So this gave me new bounding boxes, and if you play with them, you can get a really cool effect of like a different perspective. So this looks like you're looking at it from closer to the B than the O. You can make it bigger this way too. I kind of like it at the upward slant. Yeah. And then we could do the same thing with this. Yeah. This one won't look as noticeable, if at all, just because it's only an ellipse, so. But that's still a way you can edit it. And then click Transform when you're done. And then you can make little minor tweaks by going back to the Move tool and moving this. And there you go, you got at least something to work with. So for more tools, you can just go to Tools and play around with these. Transform tools are right here. Paint tools are right here. So let's say I want to do a gray. Yeah, I would just play around with different things you can do between the transform tools and the paint tools, and stacking layers on top of each other. Alright, now that we've created something, it's time. I would recommend doing this actually at the start for the very first thing. Go to File, Save As, and then save it somewhere. Alright, then once you found where you want to save it, go ahead and hit the Save button. I would just leave all this by default for right now. So hit Save. And that won't save it as a file that you can use yet for most things. You're going to want to, after you've done that, you can also name it, unlike what I did. So up here, you write the name. So BT GIMP. So we'll save it that way. And then you'll see right here the name of the file you're working on. Go ahead and hit File. And then Save As or Export As are going to be what you want. So you can do Save As. And then, never mind, you don't want Save As. You want Export As. Alright, and it's going to give you PNG by default. I'm going to go ahead and leave it that way. But if you want to change it, you can go down here to this plus and then change it. So let's say that you want to do you could do a GIF, but it's not going to be animated yet. I think you can do animations in GIMP. A JPEG. Yeah, here it is. JPEG image. So you could save it as a JPEG too, and then if you accidentally click something in this area you don't want, we can go find PNG, and then go ahead and hit export. Once you make sure it's in the folder you want. And good, they do have this stuff. I would just leave it default for now. Yep. Click export, and then compression level, you can turn this down. it was set to 9 by default. I'm going to leave it at 9. And then you can view your image. Here it is. There you go, you have your very first image. Alright, some cool stuff you can do. So you can click on this one and hold it, and then go to 3D transform. And then it'll let you do something similar to the perspective. And then if you don't like where it ends up, it's a little hard to control, you can just hit Control Z. Play around with the handle transformation. So you make handles on it, I'm guessing. Yep. And then you can just move the handles to transform it. So put one over here to stabilize. Warp transform's kind of cool. Basically, it just drags pixels over, so you could make this B into an 8. Okay, I'm not really an artist, but it's much more of an 8 than it was. And you can drag this guy out too. See how that's now an 8? What else can you do that's easy? Oh, paintbrush is right here. You'll like the paintbrush. This just lets you paint on stuff. So you want to make sure your foreground color, I think it's your foreground. So I guess you can't draw on the text layer, but you can draw on these layers. Oh, nope, not this. Why can I only draw on the background? Oh, maybe I can draw on this one. I was drawing with the same color. Flip those guys. Yep, I can. So you can make this look transparent in places this way. Look, it's like a football or something. This is a color picker tool, so let's say I want this since I don't have this black anymore and I have the same exact shade, I would just use the color picker tool to get that color back in my foreground. And then if you change your mind, Control Z. Oh, no, Control Z doesn't work for that, never mind. Yeah, Control Z doesn't work for absolutely everything. So fuzzy select tool is really cool. It'll select like all within a certain, it'll try and select all the same colors. So you see how this is all the same color in the background, and it even blends in here. This will let you select. You'll get used to working with layers. It's a little funny at first. So since I drew on top of this layer, these shapes, it only wants to select up to these points. But if I hit Shift and then click on it, it'll let me select these areas too. And I don't want to click this one because it'll fill this all in. See? So I hit Control Z to undo that. You can just use a different selection tool like the lasso. What's their lasso? Here it is. It looks just like a lasso. Yeah, you want to hold shift. So then draw around the curvature of the ball. Making sure to get each one of these. And then when you're done, go ahead, select up here, and then connect them once the thing loads. And then you can edit this by going to the points he left and just dragging them. So if you messed up a little, you can fix it. So then once all this is selected, you can go back to the move tool and then just right click, edit, and then we can fill it with something different if we want. And then you might have to click on both layers, so we'll go ahead and click on the other layer and do the same thing. See how that got rid of it? And then we can change it back. So I'm gonna go ahead and unselect everything because I'm done with, whoops. So to unselect everything, you just click once somewhere with the select tool, which is this one right here, the rectangle select tool. So to undo this selection, you just click behind it. We're gonna go ahead and use the paint bucket and paint it green. And make sure you have the right thing selected. So I'm gonna just do, and you can see I missed spots right here. Green.